But just to kind of start her off, let's go with some introductions. The person who I actually don't know anything about so
I'm
far.
Philip Lee. I run Shrapnel. I write novels. I edit. I
Multi-talented
do a little bit of
assistant,
everything.
editor, game editor,
Basically,
designer,
whatever they toss me, I do.
man
So,
Friday, jack of all trades. You can do
yeah.
it all.
Fair enough.
I think
Well,
I think Lauren once called me Catalyst Swiss Army knife. So
There we go.
you know what? That is high praise from Lauren.
yeah.
Yeah, you know him well. Yes. It's true though.
It took him about a
I
year
was
to get my
when he
name.
told me that I was impressed.
Yeah,
Okay, and yeah, well,
if he even uses your name, and also I really do like that we share the same mentality because I can't help but feel like that at the like 9 or 10 month mark finally got him to remember mine. So
Yeah.
I feel
No,
like
I
it
just think I
works.
remember the first time I saw Lauren at a convention. He remembered who I was without me having to remind him. I was like, yes, I made it.
check. There, done. Yeah.
All right.
And I'm John Helfers, the executive editor at Catalyst Game Labs, overseeing the fiction lines, including Shrapnel, which Phil does a masterful job of taking care of, so I don't have to. Handle Shadowrun, Leviathans, and of course BattleTech. So we are here at GenCon 2024. I'm very happy to be here. So
No, absolutely fantastic. Also, Stackpole. I'm assuming that these are coming out sequentially. Um, Stackpole and
Brian,
and Brian have both said get them some contracts because at the very end I went ahead and dedicated them to another book every month 2025. Just so you know, uh, just so you're aware, and they said to go ahead and get them some contracts. So does that work?
we'll talk.
Okay, okay, got it.
I
Well,
mean, as
Contracts
fast,
in the mail. How about that?
as fast as Brian works. Oh my
I
goodness.
mean, look, I tossed it to him. I'm sure he could do it. Yeah, yeah. Now that Stackpole guy, man, I don't know. A little long on the tooth for a book every other month. However, excitingly, I will say we can actually leap into that because we're going to be publishing basically the four short, 40,000 words each, the stories he did for the HBS BattleTech game, and we're going to be publishing them. They were written as
Which
I think it was a stretch goal or something.
I kind of almost forgotten about them because I guess I was conflating them with the novellas that made up the Kellhound's Ascendant
Right, well, this is
collection.
going to be kind of the same
Yeah,
thing.
but no, they're
except
completely
the
different
time
co-
zone.
completely different titles, different
era,
covers.
yeah.
And, yeah.
And he wrote it for that, and it was given to the backers and never went anywhere. And I'm like, well, it's BattleTech. We have BattleTech, so yeah. So there we go. So yeah, he's got that. Those are all coming out next year. I'm very excited about that. Got to get new covers and put them out, and it's going to be thrilling. So yes, he's got some stuff, but those are already written. But we're working on new stuff with Mike. I have a Death Kangaroo story #2, which I'm very excited about.
yes, he did bring that up.
Yes, and he's actually written 3 now. And this is great. He's self-directing himself. I don't talk about it. Well, I told him as soon as he gave me the idea, and he wrote the first one, A Night in the Woods, for the Mercenaries. I said, look, I'll take as many as you want to write. And so he's just been doing it himself. But every so often, when it'll pop up, I'm like, great. And I contract, and it's all good. So he gets contracts from me. I don't know what he's complaining about. Anyway, no, those two are
Like
great to work with.
they're not overdue contracts. It's like, where's my contract?
Technically, Brian is. I mean, he already wrote Outfoxed. His I can talk about that too.
You talking about Jade?
No, the Fox Patrol short novel
yes.
he wrote. So I just kind of, so he's a lot like Stackpole. He writes things and then I contract from afterwards. And he's currently halfway through his Ghost Dogs novel, which I have to contract for that too. Which he did remind me politely. I'm like, all right, that's coming next. Maybe I'll beat him finishing it. He'll get the ICA first. So there we go. So yeah, those two are great. We got a lot of great writers. I have to plug Craig Reed. Craig Reed? Reed, yes. Craig Reed's The Shadow of the Dragon, which has just been out for 2 weeks. We have many copies here at Gen Con, so come by and pick that up. It's a Dark Age novel. I mean, I like the Dark Age, don't get me wrong.
Late Dark Age.
Late, very late.
Very late.
Yeah, well, I think we might have one more, come to think of it. But we're going to leave that behind. But it's a great novel it's all about the Draconis Combine and the machinations and the politics and the scheming. And it's a really wonderful, wonderful read. So I urge everyone to go pick that up. We have plenty of copies here for sale at the con, along with all other fiction. Just spent most of the day putting my fiction together. So that's it.
No, I was about to say, I feel bad that I wasn't able to actually help whenever I was over there. I felt like I would have just been in the way at a certain point.
Well, we always say we could never have too much help, but honestly, this time there were times when I had people standing around and I didn't have anything to give them to do.
There were so many hands, but not enough mouths to tell them what to do.
Right. Well, the thing was, I mean, at some point you can only have so many people on one task, and people are kind of getting in the way. But no, we kept everyone busy. It's great that we have such a cadre of people who are willing to give their time and come and help us out, and of their own free will, which is still staggering to me. But no, it's terrific to have.
Some people actually like it.
I mean, we have I think it's the biggest booth we had ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't
It looks like almost double the size of last year. Am I
Well,
wrong?
because we converted some storage into actually floor space, and then we have this open plan that's not quite as hemmed in. We're trying as an experiment, but we have
Like
these
more
new,
of an open space.
we have these new stanchions that
Yeah.
are waist high. They just got set up when I was leaving. They look awesome. They're full color. It's got catalyst and battle tech. It's amazing. So that's what's going to be. As we always have a line on Thursday because the fans want the latest and greatest, and we have plenty of it. I mean, the drop ships are here. The Star League, both command and assault mechs are here. For the Dragon, for Shadowrun fans, we have our reprint of the first edition book from 35 years ago, which is amazing. It's an exact reproduction, warts and all, mistakes and all, typos and all. It's exact. We did not change it. We did not edit it. We did not update it. We have the Dragon Scroll, and you can find pictures of that on the internet. It's amazing. It's 10 feet long. It's a great vertical. It's staggering. Echo Chernick did the art. It's two-sided. And apparently it also has game use. You can also, it's going to be an element and an artifact in the game in Shadowrun. So we've got plenty for everyone.
There's also
I've been told
there's
that
AR codes embedded into it that you can use an app with.
Is that a real
Yeah,
thing?
yeah.
Okay, there you go. I wasn't sure if they had gotten that in time. So yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I
going to be a
know
real
that
deal.
they have at least a handful of spells laid out.
Yeah, and I think there's going to be more like coming like later on, like in the app. There's going to be a couple that are obvious, and then eventually they're going to like release more. Be like, oh, there's a one hidden here. There's another one hidden here that they didn't have in the app before. So yeah.
You know, Jason write me an email about that since he's done with his novel. He could probably turn out something pretty quick for that. Because I should probably have some fiction tied into that. I think is probably a good idea.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we've got plenty of new stuff. Also some new fiction. I have to give a shout out to Jennifer Brozek, whose novella collection Auditions won the Scribe Award for best young adult middle grade related work.
Wait, was it auditions or was it the Mosaic?
No,
one?
it's Auditions, which is
Mosaic
Mosaic Run adjacent. Mosaic Run
Okay.
the novel. Auditions is the 4 novellas that are collected that lead into the Mosaic Run. So
Okay,
they're
I was thinking
connected.
it was the novel.
No,
They've got
those are the other
the
ones.
one.
We didn't get the
Okay.
novel out in time for them to judge, but so she won against some Disney competition. That's a feather in my
Yeah.
cap. Jen is of course here. She's willing to sign books at GenCon. She'll be doing. We have 2 signings. Friday from 11 to noon with you and Stackpole, Brian Young, Jen, whoever else shows up. Jason Hans is here. He'll probably be there. And then from 4 to 5 on Saturday, most of the same people. Jason Schmetzer is going to make that one, so he'll be here in the afternoon. So come on by, grab some books, get them signed. We also have the limited edition hardcovers and our leather bounds for Blood of Kerensky. We have the trilogy. We have the Warrior trilogy. We have Robert Thurston's Jade Phoenix trilogy, and we have the Shadowrun, The Secrets of Power, both in hardcover and the really, really nice blue leather-bound editions.
So
Cool.
what I think I'm going to do is tell CJ to go ahead and get on this recording and to snip this part out to post earlier.
There you go. There you go.
Or like today.
Probably
tomorrow.
a good idea.
I didn't want it to get to a couple weeks out and then suddenly this comes out.
Hey, go back in time.
Did you get your tickets that also serve as a time machine?
they kept those for me. So.
Oh no, that's fair. You seem like you would cause too much havoc.
But I don't know if you've seen who I am right now.
Yeah.
Oh,
He dropped it. So I don't even know if he knows he lost it yet. I'm waiting.
Hey,
to see.
I could be him tomorrow,
There you go.
so I can actually help in the
Actually, you
morning.
might be. The problem is you might get all the trouble that comes with that too.
no, you
Anyways.
might not want to watch that.
No,
that part
no
I
one
got to
wants
the
that.
ground.
Yeah. So.
Anyways, I didn't know that I was having my interview with you this early, Lauren. Well, just to kind of get into y'all guys. So from the time that you wake up before you go to work, before and afterwards, as soon as people tell you that you can stop working, what do you do in your I'm gonna put quotes around it, leisure time, your free time?
Oh, I write. uh, I play video games. Just do hobby stuff.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
What video games?
Oh, pretty much anything. Like every once in a while, I go on like what I call a Minecraft K-hole, where I just play that for like months, and then I was like, okay,
I
I'll
fully
move on to something
understand.
else.
I
I'll come
fully
back and
understand.
be like, man, I'm really jonesing to play Minecraft again, and then I just get sucked into it for there.
For me, it'll
Couple months
be
or so, yeah.
max like 2 weeks, but
Mhm.
it does happen a couple times a year.
Oh, I usually get like a giant project idea, and I was like, okay, that's probably gonna take me like easily 2 or 3 months to finish out.
Have you ever made a mech in Minecraft?
No, I haven't.
Okay. All right. All right.
Now I'm disappointed, Phil.
Although I have
where's my
seen-
new Avalon?
I have seen people make mechs in the most recent Legend of Zelda game.
No,
Yeah.
very true.
Yeah, I've seen people make like aircraft that like bomb stuff as it like flies over. I've seen people make, like,
Specifically to drop the
mechs and
Koroks
stuff.
out of it.
Yeah, people are mean to the Koroks, and I don't understand why, because they're adorable. It's like,
Oh,
what
no.
did they ever do to you?
Wow.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, John, what do you do in your if you I listen on
Leisure
meetings
time.
on
What?
meetings you look how I feel sometimes.
You keep mentioning this leisure time. You know.
What is a holiday?
Yeah, exactly. No, I watch series. I mean, I don't know. I don't. It's do I work at home or do I live at work? That's pretty much it. So there's a lot of that.
That's
we're
fair.
not- Actually, I have picked up. This is gonna sound really weird for an editor, but I picked up actually leisure reading now. So yeah, it's hilarious. It's very eclectic. I went from like, I finally read Shutter Island by Dennis Lehane. I already knew the twist, but it's still a good read. And now I'm reading My Gun is Quick by Spillane, which is really interesting because the mores of that time back in like the 50s is so different than today. You're
Yeah.
like, wow, this is,
Yeah.
the eponymous Mike Hammer, one of the original hard-boiled private eyes. Like, this is, and I get these books for like $1 because I'm cheap. And it was a book deal. I'm like, okay, sure. And it's been like,
See,
it's been eye-opening.
as soon as there's like less weight on if you go out and you buy like a $40-$50 book, there's too much weight on it for me sometimes to want to read
See,
it.
that's kind of the same way. Like, I have the collected Calvin and Hobbes and the slipcase. Like, well, I can pull that out, but then my leg's gonna fall asleep reading it. Well, actually, the one book I want to read is we got the complete history of the making of the Venture Brothers, and I want
nice.
to sit down and read that because I'm sure it's just going to be this incredible rabbit hole of the weirdness of those guys who created that. It's one of my favorite animated series of all time.
Yeah.
It's just making the time. I just because I have like 45 minutes before I go to bed on my iPad, and like zzz, and I'm out. So the window is very like I don't need a 5-pound book on my lap. So,
Yeah.
That's fair.
yeah. Otherwise, it's to the grind. And it's funny because I'll probably don't make sure Lauren doesn't see this recording because there's so many times when Jason's like, yeah, you said that direction to me, like, oh, I wasn't paying attention.
Listen, I don't think Lauren has seen a single one of my streams. It's fine.
Perfect. For many reasons, obviously.
Unless I title this one interview with Phil and Lauren. He'll be like, when?
I was in the booth at 2:30. What are you talking about? Oh, yeah.
Well, going into like a little bit more of your day to day, what is it that you do, Phil?
Oh goodness, what don't I do?
You
I
Swiss
wait-
Army knife you.
I wade through emails. I look through manuscripts. I request revisions. I write art notes. I think that's probably one of the more fun aspects of the job because it's basically so I'll go through like a short story for Shrapnel, and I'll be like, okay, what would be like the coolest visual scene that we could pull from this story? And so I'll come up with like a couple different ideas and like maybe like a couple different takes on how to do that idea, like it's a suggestion for the artist, and then I just write it all out and give them like an excerpt from the actual story So there's like some context, maybe there's some details that they could play off of, whatever, and then hunting down like images,
like to get the framing and
Yeah,
the,
yeah, yeah.
and the action and
Yeah.
the correct like
Yeah,
choreography.
And one of the things I do, I haven't done this for a while, but one of the things that I do on occasion is sometimes I'll read through a story and I'll get like, and I have visual ideas like, okay, this would be like perfect. And I can draw, but I'm not like the world's best artist when it comes to like a trackpad.
Mm.
So sometimes what I'll do as for like the art reference is I'll make make a drawing that's basically one level above stick figure. This sort of like, hey, this is
For
how
perspective.
just
Like,
just for
example.
general composition. It's not even like really like a sketch even.
No,
But,
that's
but the way in which that I do them, like they always kind of come out like slightly unintentionally comedic, and I feel like there's a little bit of like a charm to them. Like I've shown some of the some of the other artists and stuff. Like here's the thumbnail that the artist started with that I showed them, and this is like how it turned out, and like you can see where the influence is from like what I like sketched out or whatever. But it's like
Show some.
Yeah.
So the black and white illustrations in Trap are to me one of the high points. Once we figured out we could do that and worked into the budget,
yeah.
your artist has just been cranking it out, man. I mean, and phenomenal. Just the images go so well with the stories. It's
And-
really
CJ, throw some on the screen.
Yeah.
I'm just giving him
This is a callback. They used to do this in the old Battlecore anthologies, which we're going to start bringing those back out too, and new covers, new editions. I was supposed to have one here, but didn't quite make it. And that's really a throwback, carrying that tradition forward.
Well,
They're just
even-
awesome. The detail
Even when
they
the
get to is crazy sometimes.
even back in like the Battlecore days when it was just published on the website,
right,
some stories would have like one relatively small, relatively simple,
yeah.
like not complex, like
But man,
piece of
some
art.
of the ones you're turning out,
And yeah, the stuff that we're doing now is like worlds different from like what we used to have back in the Battlecore days. And and I like challenging our artists. There's like two primary artists that I work with for the line art, and like I'll usually go through the stories and kind of figure out like who I think would work best with their style on like one specific piece, and then I maybe assign them that. But then I have to assign all of them, and I can't like say assign the bulk of them. Like if they're all like really good action scenes that like one of my artists really excels at, I can't just give him all of them and then make it like lopsided. So I kind of have to like shuffle around. So I try to like challenge them as best I can, because there's sometimes where there's like, you're not like necessarily like maybe as good at like human figures, like like detailed close up human figures, compared to like a different artist or whatever. So I'll be like, okay, well here, try this and see how that turns out. And like, and they knock it out of the park every single time.
Let them shine in their own category, but also just give them a little bit of a stress test.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like if
A good artist should like being challenged. Like,
Yes.
throw the gauntlet down. Can you deliver this? Can you do it?
People over at Catalyst really took that to heart.
Every day, sir. Every day. Just ask Brad.
Listen, she wouldn't still be around if she didn't enjoy it.
This is true. This is true. Would any of us? No. No, absolutely.
Absolutely not. But that just really goes to show how much you can love the world, love the property, and every little piece that comes along with it, including just distribution and getting the things to people. I love it.
I still feel a thrill with every book we publish. Every time I get a copy, I can hold my hand for the first time. That doesn't go away. And I've done this a lot. So it's like I'm sure you like seeing every issue of Shrapnel.
Oh yeah,
Put together, And yes, issue 17 is here. So yeah, we got the whole run. And at some point, assuming we have all the copies, I think we always have one at GenCon. Someone's going to come through and buy every copy. So that's the other thing we can mention too. You might want to snip this as well. Like we've been doing for the past couple of years, we are running the fiction sale where it's buy 2 books, get 1 free. It's going to be the lowest price one, but still free. So it's great to run on a trilogy or pick up fill in your back copies of Shrapnel. So, because it's hard to beat that deal. It's really easy to sell people on a trilogy. Well, pick this one up, get the other one for free, so there you go.
Yeah.
Got it. I'm gonna get him to just like close in on your face, just like as if it was just a nice little advert. Just like zoom in.
There you go. Come down to Crazy John's. You gotta move all the books. You gotta get them all out of here. I don't want to send it back. So there you go.
Crazy Johns.
There, your price to move, folks. I need a really long tie now.
I'm so sorry I didn't bring any with me, but I'll try to remember for next year.
I could borrow your shirt. That would work.
I have to do these to make sure that people know that I'm still like younger than most of the team. Because like I'm starting to get gray hairs on the side, and the eye bags just don't go away.
I mean, guess one time you started working for us, right? That was a pain to look, folks.
That's why I'm not looking directly into the camera. Oh,
No, I
John.
love it here. I never want to leave.
Listen, all right, okay. Even some of the worst aspects, half the time I still love them because it's so
Tyler,
weird.
there are no worse aspects. What are you talking about? I did not have to box up.
There is no war in boxing.
Yes, I did not have to box up 3 boxes of books I cannot sell at this convention that my warehouse sent me anyways.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yep.
Wait, are they the books I think they are?
Yes.
Wait.
I have a
Isn't
whole
that
ton of them.
same ones that initially came from QML to PSI?
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
Okay.
These are the books that got sent to some of our vendors, and
Yes!
they can't. And they still acknowledge that we cannot sell them
And
until
they
we
have
say
been
yes.
so good about
Yes.
waiting for it.
Yes.
They're
Soon,
really
Derek,
good.
soon.
Yes.
Trust me. I don't know if he's going to hear this.
Props for the patience.
Yes, I specifically told them not to send them, and what do I get? Yeah, just the whole run. Like, great. No, it's great. It's great. Love it. Love it. GenCon, all the way. Yeah.
Well, John, what do you do in your day-to-day life at work?
Don't I do? You forgot to mention, by the way, when someone like lands a source book on your, hey, edit this
Oh, yeah.
rule book.
No, I mean I've got like secret project editing at
That
some
too,
point.
Yeah.
It just hasn't hit my inbox yet. And then another part of that is, yeah,
We're not kidding when we say Swiss Army knife. He's
Yeah.
done like source book, game rules, everything but layout.
writing
You don't do a lot of
source
layout
books,
stuff.
writing fiction,
Yeah.
short
So-
stories, novels.
You got
Novellas.
the Leviathan rulebook put together. Thank you, thank you. I got that out
Yeah.
recently. I
Yeah.
don't know if I got that from you, but
So the fun thing with editing the Leviathan's rulebook is, and something that I didn't actually realize until I was working on it, is that like we have a setting book, a gazetteer from the original Leviathans, and it ain't broke, like don't fix it. So there were parts of that were taken from the original and are in like the new book, because this is gonna be like a brand new introduction of basically a relaunch of the whole line.
Right.
So, and I mean that history is still good.
Yeah.
And so
That didn't change.
and so my original approach when I was getting to the history sections in the rule book was like, okay, well, I'll just kind of have to give these like a quick little skim because they're from the original, and I found some very, very interesting typos, and I was like, is this like a copy paste thing? And then I went to the original gazetteer because I have the physical version. And I was like, oh, this actually made it into print. That's fun. Okay, fix.
all
Yeah.
right. Well, I'm glad you just didn't fire it off like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was just 'cause, like,
Bill's way too conscientious to do that.
yeah.
I can't see that. Oh yeah, it's fine, sure. No, he's like me. We share that same kind of editorial brain.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think you asked what I do. The stock answer is herding cats, but I think it's like herding cats while juggling them at the same time. So the biggest thing, of course, is trying to make sure my schedule is on track, which involves dealing with multiple authors, Bill in editorial capacity and authorial, both, and then Stackpole, Brian Young, Jason Hansa, Craig Reed, Jennifer Brozek on Shadowrun side, Rusty, all my authors, making sure like the project's in, where's my arts, just shepherding it through production. Which you'd think would be more managerial, but I also still love the editing side, and so sometimes I get in trouble. And I still do a pass on every book that comes through my desk. I don't.
Yeah.
It's not that
But
I don't trust my editors. I like my editors. They're very good editors.
The creative control
But
side of it, yeah.
yeah,
Just gotta make sure.
I have a particular style of editorial that needs to be in there, and it's not like changing the plot or anything. It's just A lot of times
Yeah.
it's just it's kind of a line edit, just smoothing out sentences, removing excess verbiage, stuff like that.
Mhm.
A lot of my writers are wordy, and I cut that down. So, but they're good. They're very good. And like,
I'm not as bad as most.
no, that's true. That's true. You're second to your word.
I try to edit. I try to write
no
with
Ciravella,
with
that's for sure.
editing in mind later on. So.
Oh yeah, I'm calling them out. That's right. I said it here. Yes.
But listen, I thought that I had done an interview with Ciravella before. I have not. I don't think I've ever heard him speak before.
Really?
Oh my goodness, his voice is crazy.
Yeah.
I couldn't get
But
enough of it. I stopped listening to what he was saying.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, 20 years in the hospitality business, so of course he's public facing for decades.
exactly.
And he knows just exactly what to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, no.
Yeah,
it might
he's
be
a very
great.
good like orator's voice.
Yes.
I think he's involved in like community theater too.
Yep. Yeah, that too.
And, I'm like, oh yeah, that makes complete and total sense. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, I could see that. I mean, I used to be a
And
theater kid.
and he's a wonderful human being. I must throw that out.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Delightful.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely delightful.
Oh, sorry, I started thinking about his voice.
Yeah, I just kind of.
Well,
I'm gonna call him on the phone right now.
so other than editorial and managerial duties, is
Yeah.
there anything else that you can really?
I mean, besides dealing with Lauren and other people,
Mhm.
no. I mean,
Well, the
I
other
it's like
stuff
half
the other
the
stuff you
salary.
gave to me.
yeah. I have a story.
Like,
I have a
Here, do
full
sales
written
reports.
Shadowrun story I'm supposed to finish up. I got to wrap up with Jen Brozak. Is Jen on the schedule? Are you guys ever spotted for an interview at some point?
I don't have her on the schedule, no. Or
We should probably get her on there. I'll talk to Ram about that because it might be her and I maybe because there's stuff to talk about. So
well, I mean, because there was already a lot of interviews that we did have with Jennifer.
okay.
Specifically, not about this upcoming.
Thing, yes.
Well, I'm talking about previously, Dear Belgium.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Like, yes,
I got-
sure, right.
I got my second letter in the mail from that like just yesterday.
I think it's waiting for me.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
But there's actually some Shadowrun related news that we could probably talk about while here. This might be a good idea to have a chit chat about. Yes.
Absolutely.
So-
I also, just to confirm, do not see her.
Okay. Well, she's not running a table this year, so she's got a lot more free time.
Huh.
So we should see if we can get her
Plus,
on
she's
here.
not running a table.
Yeah, and that reminds me, we gotta talk about Mocha afterwards. I can't log in right now. We gotta fix that.
Oh, that's
I don't
not
know what's going on. It's very weird.
That's not good.
And I hit up Matt, and he hasn't gotten back.
feel
I don't know
like-
what's going on.
I feel like we ran into that once before, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't know. We'll
It
talk
was some,
about
it was some, I feel like it was some browser.
Hang on,
related
can
thing.
you guys direct this
Yeah.
more to the mic?
Yeah, you're out there. Hit up reply to my email, please.
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, but no,
what
it's.
was it?
I
You
mean,
wanna
you know, that's the main part. And like I said, I still enjoy it. I enjoy working with the authors. I enjoy figuring out cover images. I do art notes. Well, I give ideas, and then our talented Ian King on the Shadowrun side and Brent Evans on the Battletech turn out wonderful, wonderful images. We have Kat Monasterio was my editor, who also broke into her first novella for Shadowrun. Is published right now. I did that because I knew you were busy and going to drive it down. So I've been dripping it out there. It's on Amazon and it's on.
Oh,
we got to
okay.
get the. No, it's not on Drive. It's on Drive to Digital. We got to get the UBL to Miko, so he can put out something for her during the con. She wanted out for GenCon so she can talk about it. So I'm very excited about that. It's a great
Okay.
read. So yeah, we're still publishing new authors. Still looking for new authors. Always looking for new authors, talented authors who love Shadowrun and Battletech. And the
Do
Leviathans,
you
too.
want to go ahead and tell people how to best get in contact about doing all that?
Well, for Shrapnel, why don't we go have you talk about that first?
Yeah. So
Which
with,
it really is.
so with Shrapnel, we have
our
a submissions
portal for
queue
Battletech. Yeah.
for new authors. And it's just like a normal magazine submissions where I read through stories in the queue. I reject the ones that don't pass muster. Ask for revisions for ones that are almost there.
Mhm.
I accept the ones that are right on the money. And then from there, it's basically just like we'll kind of grow an author into like like give me like a couple good Shrapnel stories. And be like, hey, this author might be ready for a novella. Be like, hey, send us a pitch for a novella, and then novellas then eventually can lead into novels. And so So we already have sort of like a good pipeline for BattleTech. For Shadowrun, however,
That's a little bit more speculative because we don't have quite that kind of portal.
A little bit more new, right?
So it's more approaching kind of myself. Supposed to do a panel tomorrow, which is Thursday, which is not the best time.
can we talk about the thing?
Well, that's why I'd rather have Jen to talk about that. So,
Okay. Yeah.
So not right here. We're trying to roll that out in a specific way.
Yeah.
Basically, that's kind of coming up, finding me or dropping me a note at john@catalystgamelabs.com if you want to query on Shadowrun. So that's probably the best way to do that. But eventually, I might make Jen do that for me too. We'll see. Not sure how thrilled she's on. But we prefer, I'm going to say this very clearly, it's shrapnel and do please read the submission guidelines. There are some very specific do's and don'ts. But for BattleTech, it really is we want to see that it's a very specific style. It's not just basic military science fiction with big stomping robots. There's a very specific kind of a style to BattleTech writing. And short story is the best way to kind of hone that, and then you can start playing with longer stories. So that's why I get novel pitches over the transom every month actually. And I go tell them, nope, go to Shrapnel. And you make my job so much easier, Phil. Because it's like he weeds them off for me, and
I'm
figure
glad
out who can do it. And we've gotten some really good stuff in there. Every issue's been phenomenal, and we've graduated a couple authors already into longer stuff. So it's been great. So,
That's a fantastic pipeline.
it's all managerial, and then but I still do 60% managerial, 40% final edits, passes like that.
Fair enough. Getting down to the nitty gritty of it to make sure that everything sticks with the same feel.
Yeah, it's all gonna fit in the IP and make sure no one's going off the rails in a way that also make that IP holder look askance upon what we're publishing too.
Yeah.
There's gonna be no Black Dog division here. Let's put it that way. So, okay.
Okay, so, and please interpret this the way that you most see fit. No names. What is the biggest plot point part of a story that you have ever had to say no to? Or in this case, anything, whether it be a piece of art, it can be any medium, but just one thing that was an absolute no. This does not fit in this world. Why would you think that?
All right, I'll go first. I actually have one that came up recently. No names.
No names.
There's a very storied character in the universe called the Bounty Hunter. And it's one where the character, it's got Dread Pirate Roberts. It's passed along from person to person. They've been around for like hundreds of years, and every so often they get passed along, and the other person goes off on their own. And we're doing an anthology that's almost done. Part of the Mercenaries Kickstarter, Tales of the Bounty Hunter, taking it through all of the time periods, which is great.
Right.
And taking it into the Oak Clan era, very important. I want to keep it rolling because the Bounty Hunter is one of those ephemeral, kind of iconic characters. And one of our authors had a very, very, very different take on who would be the new Bounty Hunter. And the line developer and I had a conversation, and we said, well, that's a very interesting idea, but that's not how we see the character going. If you want to take that idea and make your own person, unit leader, go for it. That's not how this is going to roll. So we had to politely say that you have to come up with something else.
Absolutely fair.
If I recall, I feel like I had a conversation with this individual at one point, and they said that character pitch idea was meant to be partially tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, but
So I don't know.
This is a problem.
Like it's just something that would not work within specifically the Bounty Hunter story, but could potentially work in other places.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean, look, give me a cracked canopy story about that character. I'm all over it.
Yeah.
That seems perfect. And then that could be the springboard. It's just like Stackpole's Death Kangaroos, which the real quick story is for 20 years, literally, the icon for the Kellhounds has been wrong.
He just got done talking about
Right. So, and I was helpful in getting the right one into the system just in time for Mercenary. We just got it there. So now all the Kellhound swag is the right stuff. I'm like, we gotta start making it's another Death Kangaroo. We gotta start making that too.
Exactly.
We already have the mold and everything. That should be easy peasy. So yeah, that's the whole thing. But there's certain units or certain characters that, even if it's someone where the torch is passed, there still has to be variance on the archetype is the best way to put it. And you can't go that far afield. I understand what he's trying to do, but Ray and I were in complete agreement that that's not the direction we want to go. So, but I give that person full authority to write that character somewhere else. That's the great thing about the Intersphere and Battletech. There's 1,000 worlds. It's 1,000 years in the future. There is no end to the kinds of stories you can tell in that universe. We haven't
like
even
several
scratched the
centuries
surface.
worth
Yes.
you could play with.
We haven't even
Like
scratched
I've
the
even gotten
surface.
stories from the Outer Reaches Rebellion, which is in the 2280, I think it was.
Yeah,
It's like
late 20th
pre-battle
century.
mech. Like, and
Right.
the story was great, and it fit in the BattleTech universe, and like everyone loved it. So
I mean, we did a couple of issues back. We did our first Age of War story, didn't you? We did an Age of War thing.
no, I mean we've done some Age of War stuff, but like
Yeah.
it's technically well the Outer Reaches Rebellion is technically Age of War.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
But that's a whole era that we don't even have like the sigil for yet, because we have barely touched on. Like, okay.
Fair.
So yeah, so it's once you get, I mean, look at the source books that have been published, and for those who don't mysteriously know, it's BattleTech's 40th anniversary this year, so it's 40
Wait, really?
years. I know,
40,
right?
what?
Sorry.
Did you
Happy
not-
birthday. Happy birthday.
Did you not
Happy
get the memo,
birthday.
Phil? Yeah.
No, I was literally at a game store last night hanging out with Ray, like in my hometown, and he was being Randall and handing out the badges, the
Nice.
40th anniversary badges to people. So.
And like, oh, what's this?
Mhm.
And of course, 40 years, we've written a lot of source book material, lots and lots and lots. And that's the great part is you can dive at any point. You want to play 3025, you want to play 2900s, you want to play the Mired in the Succession Wars, you want to play something earlier, you can do that.
Mhm.
I mean, one of our best selling, which still stuns me, the Proliferation Cycle
Yeah.
Force Pack. I can't believe how well that thing sold, which is the first like 7 mechs ever produced. And
Mhm.
I don't know if Randall made that as a lark, but
Yeah.
it still goes. So I'm like,
Well, to be
you
fair,
guys
like-
know these things like will take 3 steps and overheat, right?
To be
Because they're ancient. They're
to be
like,
fair, all the sculpts in that force pack are beautiful.
are fantastic. And I think
Yeah.
that's probably why the fans buy
Especially like the
it.
assault
That
mech size
Mackie?
ones, like
Oh
the
my
Mackie
God, that is
and
gorgeous.
the Emir.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, amazing. So, but it's still going. And I used to play in high school, and if you went back and told me, hey, you know what? Guess what? 25 years later, you're going to be editing the line. Get out of here.
Yeah.
Yeah, here I am. So it's a really weird circle, but
Yeah.
I can't think of anywhere else I'd rather be. So.
No, absolutely. Well, in that same vein, is there anything that y'all have seen like pass over your desk that you didn't, that isn't a direction that you would have gone? And you can't name names here, but fits beautifully in the story. It is not necessarily a twist, but something that enhanced the story so much that you wouldn't have thought of otherwise. Or just a direction that somebody took.
When we were trying to bridge the gap between Dark Age and Ill Clan, there was a lot of talk about how to do it. And by the time we were ready to go, we were kind of not out of time, but it was a truncated timeline where I would have, partly because I was low on authors at the time. This was several years ago. It's much different. It's thankfully much different now. So we were limited as to what we could do. Now, some great stories came out of that, like Gregory's Icons of War, which was based on an outline that the original author said, well, I wouldn't have done that, but it was a good read. Like, fantastic. It's one of my favorite books. And then we went through the launch book, Hour of the Wolf, which went through several drafts. And I know several of them when I got hold of, like, well, I don't think that's really what we should do. And there was a lot of back and forth about how that was to work.
Oh yeah, Ray and I were talking about that last night
I don't.
at length.
My authors still have the capacity to surprise me with what they put together. But here's the funny thing: I don't have a really firm, super heavy idea on where I think the IP should go. I mean, I do personally. What if I was in charge? I have this whole thing that I would do, which I'm not going to go into here because there's no point to it. If I ever get a chance to pitch it, I'll pitch it because it's a thing that would bring back sort of a offshoot of a
When's
former
the next
feared enemy.
summit?
Yeah, I don't know. Talk to Brett. But I'm fairly like, as long as the story's good, that's what I care about. And certain ones like Shadow of the Dragon was technically, now Craig of course is an established BattleTech writer. When he wrote that one on spec, he was taking a shot in the dark, and he got very fortunate that it hit right and filled in a gap that I didn't know I needed until I heard he'd written the story. I'm like, oh, that sounds useful. And
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
very handy and filled in a very important gap in the Combine's history that got like what, a page maybe or a half a page in the source book or whatever. It wasn't really delved into a lot, and he really
Yeah.
fleshed out that part. So that's pleasant surprises like that, for example. But that's other than what I mentioned. And typically, we hew pretty closely to outlines. And granted, if an author were to come up to me, because I've done this myself in title writing, sometimes you write something, you put on an outline, you can have a feeling like, oh, this is a great idea that I just thought of literally this morning in the shower.
Mm-hmm.
Can we work it in? If it works for the story, sure. And as long as everyone signs off on it, because this is a group effort. Ray and Aaron are looking at it. Ray often will have more additions he wants to put in, which is fine, as long as it fits in my timeline to get it published. But no, his ads are always good, and they always flesh out things, and he has a very good story vision. So that's always handy, because sometimes he's lived and breathed this stuff. He lived and breathed this stuff for 30 years.
Yeah.
There was a time when I hadn't, so I had to kind of get back in the swing of things. So I rely on them. He's like my institutional battlefield memory. Like, hey, Phil, what's this from da 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 da? If you don't know it offhand, you know where to find it. So that's really handy.
Yeah.
Having a walking encyclopedia. So, and then there's Sarno, of course, does a great job, but they don't know everything.
Yeah.
So,
and
then if they don't, then Ray or Aaron usually does too. So between the three of them, I can get whatever answer I need.
No, absolutely. Well, plus if you're just getting stuff from offline, which I believe I've actually interviewed a couple of people from Sarna.
Probably.
Nick or Sean, maybe, perhaps.
Everything is over the internet now. Like I said, I have such.
They're the two main people I think of when I think of Sarna. The two of them.
Say Nick. I'm gonna say Nick. I'm gonna say Nick.
Well, I'm gonna actually throw that back to you. Was there ever a slush story from Shrapnel that just like completely blew you away from an unknown author that you've never even heard of before? And they just came in
several times.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone is still with you?
But I'm drawing a blank at the moment because I've been nursing a headache for the past hour or so.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
Apologies. Well, I'm glad I gave you a
uh,
chance to at least sit down.
Yeah.
No, there's some people. Because I also do a pass the Shrapnel issues just because. And I'll go back to them and say, man, this story was terrific. Like, yeah, over the transit story or whatever.
Yeah,
Like, really? Holy crap. Earmark that, like, let's keep an eye on this person and see how they develop.
Actually, I do have an answer to that question, but it's going to be an issue that I haven't even put together yet. But, well, the last time I went through the slush pile, I accepted like a whole bunch of different stories. And there was this one story that stuck out to me because it was so unlike any story I think we've ever published before, and every single one of my the slush reader that originally read that was like blown away by it. He's like, so when we rate stories, we give like a 1 to 10 rating, where 1's like just instant rejection, 10 is like instant acceptance, won't really hardly need any editing and that sort of thing. Like a 5 is sort of like a maybe, where it's like the story's good, but like maybe you might want to suggest some revisions, that sort of thing. And like this is one of the few stories I think he marks as like a 9 or 10. And I read through this because it's a story like that it shouldn't really work because it's not really about any kind of like traditional BattleTech story protagonist. But this whole story was just absolutely great, and it ends on like a killer line, which is so fantastic. But it was from like a brand new author, and it was just so unconventional, and it just works. So I need to find like an issue to put that in, but it's coming hopefully very soon, because it's basically this close to just send it off to fact check, send it to copy it. It's like it's that good as far as I'm concerned.
And I only meant if they're still with you, in the sense of, who knows, maybe someone could come up with a wonderful story and they're just like, yeah, no, I made my point. That's it. That's it. I'm gone now.
I mean, I would be shocked if someone really wanted to do just a one and done. If you're a fan, and this is a way to, I don't want to say make your mark, but it is kind of. I had this influence or I told my version of this IP that I've loved and these fans have loved, and they come up with it all the time. I've played for 10, 20, 30 years. You know, I have the original battle droids.
Mhm.
And those who can and are willing to go through the process, because that's rare to have a win right out of the park, right on your first try.
Yeah.
A lot of times people have to come back a few times.
Yeah.
I think that's fine. The thing is, don't get discouraged, especially if you're getting notes. Feels very good about encouraging those that you feel have potential.
Yeah.
You know, hey, this doesn't work for us, but please feel free to try us again. And hopefully they'll learn something from that and get better and improve and get to that point. And go to the ball.
And I usually try to leave feedback for as many stories as I can. Sometimes just because of my workload and stuff, I can't give individual responses to everybody.
Right.
But like probably some of the most like heartbreaking rejection letters that I have to give are ones where it's like the story works, I like it, but there's no way it fits in canon.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's no way I can get this past our fact check scene. And like it's just heartbreaking. And fortunately, those are very few and far in between. But when they do, especially when a story is good, you're just like, oh.
Yeah, because we're not looking to reject, we're looking to accept.
Yeah,
we want these to work.
And I think those kind of stories tend to happen because might be like a fan that they're like really well entrenched in this one particular area, but it's already like a very well storied area, so they are not really.
You're just shoveling it on top of that.
Yeah, and yeah.
Or they disagree with what happened in the canon. Like, well, no, I want to tell it this way. Like, well,
you know, actually, I don't think I've ever.
reason.
I've never actually run into that before.
Really?
People trying to like change canon or do like alternate.
There's not been any
Now,
like
that
retcons or
surprises
anything?
me. I would have thought at least somebody would have taken a shot at that.
What was the question again?
No, like, just like no one trying to like go back and retcon. Even like
I mean,
smaller
people will go back to like earlier eras and like they might say, "Hey, I really like this character. I want to write more of their story." Like that's completely different.
Mhm.
But like, I've never had people say like try to change the canon because the people that submit to Travel realize that their stories are going to be canonical.
Mhm.
And so they have to go through fact check.
Mhm.
And so if they give me some sort of like alternate universe, like what if, you know, like what if Alexander Kerensky didn't survive
Yeah.
the American Civil War? You know, it was like that could make for a good story, but no one has tried writing that or tried even pitching that sort of thing because they know that what gets published in Shrapnel is canon.
Now, to be fair, we've kicked around some, like doing the what if anthology of non-canonical with that
Yeah,
kind of thing. What if
but that would be
Mark was
very
a happy good
specifically.
guy?
That would be very
That would have to be
specifically
its own
stated
line,
as a
everything.
mission
That would
mission
never.
statement for that project.
Right.
Yeah.
Big bold. It's a not canonical fiction.
Which I do love those because I mean, if it's good enough to make
Yeah.
it in, then that does kind of flesh out the different perspectives of like how people act in different situations, like all of the
Right.
ripple effects that can come from a single person. Because of course, everyone is now used to that one timeline,
Right.
one timeline that
Exactly.
everything kind of adheres to.
What if Kerensky hadn't left the Aerosphere? Then we had Emperor Kerensky instead.
Yeah.
You know,
What if Nicholas Kerensky had died of brain fever?
Yeah, there's again a myriad ways to
Yeah.
take these.
So many different like inflection points that we could play
Right,
around with.
right,
too.
right.
So this is our pitch.
We discussed behind the scenes at a fairly high level. I'm not sure if we'd ever have the wherewithal. I'm sure a lot of the authors probably love to get in on that, just to tell the weird, wild, the chicken people have first contact with the inner sphere. And watch the heads explode.
Yes, and the people who haven't read Star-Lord because it's not Star-Lord, Far Country because it's out of print, they'd be like, "Wait, what? What is this?"
Yeah, so, it comes up every so often, just more of a jokey kind of thing. But I find it fascinating for the very same reason you mentioned, Tyler, that it's interesting offshoots. Like, because I think it can lead to a whole other aspect of what this might have been.
So long as we stay as far away from the what is it, like multiverse, like all no, you start doing that, I'm jumping the boat.
Battletech is not it's sci-fi, but it's not that sci-fi.
Exactly.
It's grounded in reality sci-fi as much as you can have giant stompy war robots.
100-ton robots stepping on ground and not sinking up to their knees. Yes,
We
exactly.
only deal in realism here.
Sure. Oh, and they can fly for short distances too. Don't forget that.
Oh, yeah.
Totally. Sure, DARPA's working on that right now.
So I've been trying to ask one more difficult question. And I my initial one I realized was not nearly difficult enough. So
I am ready to flip this end table, sir.
Well, I think it's also just because people are very cemented in how they think. Like I was going to people are very certain of what clan what they specifically do and do not like. So, oh no, I had one just before this. That's so sad. Okay, all right. I wanted to give a good difficult question. All right. No. You know what? I'm gonna stick with the conversation. If there was one thing, because you already said it, if there was one thing that you could change about the current canon, what would it be?
Oh.
The old canon would still exist as its own thing. You're not overriding.
I think the one thing that I would change in the current canon is to undo the annihilation of Clan Blood Spirit, because it happened off camera, and it's a faction that a lot of fans really like. And if I remember correctly from talking to I think it was Herb Bees that I talked about, where he said the only reason that they took out the Blood Spirits was because they were told, or I think it was, this is even back in like the WizKids days or whatever, they were like, you need to like get rid of X number of factions.
Mhm.
And the Blood Spirits were just one of the ones that they just happened to
So they
pick.
threw darts on a board.
So yeah, but it's like if you read like the stuff about them in like the Wars of Reaving source book, for example, or whatever, it's just like everybody gangs up on them for no reason, and they just get taken out, and it's just like, and it happened like not even inside the Wars of Reaving proper. It was just sort of kind of like an epilogue, like bookend to it. And it's
Didn't
just like
feel
that
like it
just
was-
seemed, that just felt wrong to me. Like,
Did it not feel like it had enough of a reason to genuinely happen?
yeah, I mean, I think that's a little part of it, but again, it's because it was basically almost like a sidebar
Mhm.
instead of being like in like the main storyline. So if
Fair
that's
enough.
that's one thing I would change, it would be that.
I mean, I get that. Although I can also see how there could be like a little element of like getting snuffed out before it's time too.
Yeah.
Which I mean, if you're looking at things from like a historical sense, not
Yeah,
everything gets
Yeah.
headlined. You're getting snuffed out before your time, all that.
Yeah.
But I do absolutely see what you're saying.
Yeah. And I was having a conversation with Ray about this last night, a couple other fans, because there were two guys at the store we were at last night that they're like the huge Homeworld Clans fans or whatever. And we were just talking about that and like part of the reason that like why a lot of fans love the Blood Spirits
Mhm.
is because they were all the other clans, they got totems and they had their own little like identities and stuff, whatever. But the Blood Spirits were unique because instead of getting a totem, Nicholas Crency gave them basically a purpose, and their purpose was to basically be the glue to hold the clans together, like the esprit de corps, which is why they were called Blood Spirits. And so they had this mission, unlike any of the other clans did. And for some reason, after Operation Klondike, all the other clans are just like, "What are you doing? That's not what we're supposed to be doing. We don't like you." Okay,
Or was that the switch from
And then
Alexander to Nicholas?
No,
Nicholas gave that.
Yeah,
thing
Nicholas.
for the clans.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
Yeah, and so the other
Sorry,
clans
did
are
you
basically
forget that he was the encyclopedia?
Yeah, that's really me.
yeah, and
And
so
it's funny, after reading Randall's Founding, you think I'd remember that kind of thing.
yeah, and so the Blood Spirits they had this mission of like basically keeping the family together, like the peacemaker in the family essentially. And then I guess the other clans didn't like that, so they just kept bullying them to the point where they're just like, well, we can't do what we're supposed to do, so we're just gonna go over here and do our own thing. And then people still kept like bothering them, and they just so they got even more and more insular to the point where they were basically just like living on just one planet. And so they're the one clan that has this purpose, and they're not allowed to do with their purposes because the other clans won't let them. And then they go through all the stuff in the Wars of Reaving and then just get like beaten down until they're gone. So it's like that whole aspect is just, it never sat well with me. Where it's like, if you're gonna take a faction out and it's gonna be like removed from the board entirely, I feel like there's got to be like a good reason for it, like a good like narrative reason for it.
Would you? Okay. So you wouldn't have felt better if it was
like if it was
Scream instead of a.
If it was something like where it came out like the Blood Spirits had done something like horrific that they deserved to be annihilated for, then that would be a completely different story. That's not what happened.
Yeah, why don't basically trying to do their job?
Yeah.
Yeah. So all the while Phil's been talking about that, I've been trying to think of something, and again, I'm not as encyclopedic knowledge of everything. So actually, I will posit to the future. We've got plans for several years, but of course, at some point down the road, we would enter into some sort of new era, and that's what I alluded to about my idea of what I would do for them. Because I personally feel BattleTech is right, maybe overripe for another invasion. I think there needs to be like big old sphere-wide conflict from something technically, I will say, outside the inner sphere. But it's not really in my idealized where we would take this, because there are certain people. We have a lot of differing opinions on where the IP should go, but we all come together in the end to talk about stuff. And I feel I hear all the points and I kind of synthesize what I agree with, and I feel like some people have been kind of pushing for that needs to be tech advancement, which I tend to agree with at times. We need to start looking at upgrading or modifying some things and taking this into. For so long, it's been Battle's been described as, yes, 1,000 years in the future, but using World War II technology. Now, of course, the clan invasion changed a lot of that, and we still incrementally, but I think there needs to be a leap, and oftentimes that comes with invading force. So, I'm not going to say anything more about that, but I would change to me, I would take it in a slightly different direction.
An invading
future
force
would go.
An invading force that has these advancements,
Yes,
or
yes.
developing advancements.
No, it hasn't. There's the great thing about Battle is there's so many loose threads, and I believe there's an element, that's all I'm going to say, that could provide that. Given that what happened to them, where they went, how much time has gone by, and the type of beings they are, they could very much fulfill that role, and they have a reason to do so too, which would be just terrible. It'll make the jihad look like child's play. Anyway.
Morality lessons with John Helfers.
That's right.
Wait, combat, death, and destruction in battles? Never
so,
again.
So that would be a different direction I would take it. And somewhere Ray's like, I feel the disturbance in the force. But that's probably not going to happen, so I'm not too worried.
No, that's right. Well, what the guys are doing. You're idealized.
Yeah. If I had my troubles, that's what I would take. I think we're overdue for a big old fat galaxy spanning war. That's all. Yeah. Again, battle. Not techie tech. Not good buddies tech. Battle is in the first word, in the first part of the word. So yeah. not best friends tech.
Seeing the pure division between what we're talking about now and the writers and the writers before, it's beautiful.
I'm definitely going to look at the Stackpole Young interview. I think. Yeah.
Because the thing is, like, of course, like, not even opposition. It's just different strengths and different allocations that create a well-rounded world.
Right, and that's a great thing. I mean, Mike, of course, since the beginning, wrote some of the seminal novels in this universe, in this intellectual property. And then Brian, literally the next generation, coming to it from a very different viewpoint, very different societal aspects. And just but Mike has mentored Brian for several years, so it's very interesting to see what Brian's picked up from Mike, but also what he's made his own of his Fox Patrol stories, which are very beloved among the fan base. So, we have both. I get the best of both worlds. I get both classic, as Mike's stories are still, every time I get one, like, this is great, I'm working with Mike Stackpole. And then Brian's the same way, but in a very different vein. But I'm still just excited to read both their works. So, yeah.
Well, no, that's fantastic. Well, we are sitting at 10 minutes after.
Well done,
But
sir.
we have not given Shadowrun enough love, I don't think.
Well, that is true. We've been very Battletech heavy. It's a good point.
That's all you.
Is there anything
Okay.
in our closing few minutes that you would like to majorly hit with Shadowrun?
Well, I mean, yeah, we mentioned Jennifer Brozek's award-winning collection, but as Phil had said, that leads into a full novel, which is the culmination of this story cycle that's been going on for like 5 years now, which is impressive.
Oh, has it been that long?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, her first, I'm blanking on the title now. The first novella came out a few years ago, and we've just been working towards this.
Oh, okay.
And it finally culminated in this, in the Mosaic run, which is fantastic. Set in another place where we don't go very often, which is Africa, and involves court machinations and a very harrowing run for our very young Shadowrunners. Oh, it's delightful. That's what kicked this whole series off.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's just terrific. And these all come together, and they, the usual. It's literally a team assembled almost out of thin air. And a lot of times they're meeting each other for the first time, and it's all they have to do this the run and the goal, which I'm not going to spoil. It's a great read. But no, we're ramping up on. Oh, and we'll circle back around to audio too, because that's for both of them, not just for Battletech. But yeah, we've got on deck. Let's see. Oh well, actually, the next book that's coming out. So Jen's book is out now. It's available here at GenCon.
Mm-hmm.
Then Rusty Zimmerman, I'm really excited about this one. He has done a full corpse novel, like a corporate fixer, and they're the protagonists, and they have their own unique backstory. We have just wrapped up and gotten out to the Shadowrun backers the Magic Machines and Mayhem anthology, which kind of introduces the character, so the timing is perfect. His book is coming out, I want to say in September. And it's called Dark Synergy. And I the first 10,000 words is having smooth operations. We had a hole in one of our source books, so I put in the first 10,000 words of Rusty's book. I think it's smooth operation. I hope it is. I want to see it.
I could not tell you.
And it's fantastic. And I really like. Okay, I have to read the rest of this book. Rusty, of course, has been a long time Shadowrun writer. He's been doing. I let him do whatever he wants. He came with his character. I love it because I've always wanted to see more corpse stuff. I don't. We get. Yes, it's shadow running. But if they don't have corpse, they have nothing to run against. So I feel we need to get a little bit back to Secrets of Power, where what's her name? I can't. The corporate person was a main fixture in the first book. It was very important to show that corp aspect, and he goes way into it, and I'm just loving it. So
you gotta understand what you're fighting for / against.
Yes, exactly. Well, know your enemy, absolutely, and I think he's done a terrific job with it so far, and I can't wait to read the rest of it. And then Aaron Rosenberg, of course, the Dissian cycle is coming to fruition. The big extra-dimensional invasion that's happening, and then Aaron Rosenberg book at the end of the year, Base Crackers we call it, ties into that a little bit. So fiction came a little late to that party. I had to get some things out of the way for that, but no, I'm really excited at the direction fiction's going and what they're doing on the game side too. We're trying to tie more into that. I think that gives readers something to latch onto, especially if they're players. But also, there's also readers who probably don't play the game. I want to make sure they get a good Shadowrun story too. It's very important.
No, absolutely. Also, I do very much appreciate. I don't know exactly how information moves, but I do very much appreciate. So my game master for my Thursday night game on GenCon, which I only found out recently that we are actually the front show of the GenCon TV streams.
Oh, cool.
We're hitting like 3,500 views now.
Wow.
Not live viewers, obviously.
No. But they're seeking you out, basically.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
But Tom Teslin, he's been going out and like introducing the idea of voodoo, of cyber surgery. The most recent episode's name was Jailhouse Cyber Surgery for Dummies, which I love. But he's been pulling that material straight from Body Shop, straight from and like trying to voodoo is completely out
Yeah,
That'll do.
that old voodoo, what's it called?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that I can't remember if it's like a PDF or whatever, but yes, they put that
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
That's available. Yeah.
Okay.
I made the title wrong, but it's got voodoo in the title. You can't miss it. So, but yes, the funny part is Jen Brozik has said that she's had people come up to her and have converted her stories into runs for their team, like straight out of the fiction.
Nice.
So that gives you good plot hooks too that you can adapt for your players too. It works both ways. You don't have to be always the source books. Fiction is a wealth of information too.
No, absolutely.
You know, yeah.
Yeah, and we're trying to do our best to have Tom go out there and do some like very tied together bits of information that like pull directly from like some of the stories. Maybe having an entire character that is inspired by a certain idea. And he's been going around to not just the source books, but in order not to spoil me in particular, I may be the producer on it, but I am also a player, so he doesn't want
Right.
to give me too much.
Gotta walk that line. Yeah, exactly. No spoilers.
Yeah, no,
Spoilers.
I can't. Like all I get is the title a couple days earlier, but then I completely forget. I am such a good producer for that because I completely forget the name of the title by the time the episode rolls around. That's why people can trust me, you know? Like, yeah, of course I can take your bank account information. I don't care. Like, I'm not going to remember it
We'll
here in a
remember
few
tomorrow.
minutes.
It's all good.
Exactly. It's
Perfect
fine.
career. Tyler Mnemonic. There you go. Exactly.
Exactly.
I did want to touch on real quick the audio.
Yes.
'Cause I'm sure when people watch this interview, they're going to ask, which is
Mhm.
fine. We've been making great strides in getting back on track with the audio schedule, particularly on BattleTech. Heir to the Dragon just dropped. It's been getting some phenomenal reviews. Our art director, who's also a very committed audiobook file, he said he really enjoyed it. Working with a new group called Actors Everywhere. So shout out to them. They're doing some really terrific work. And he was very happy because, of course, those who have read Heir, it's a really big, sprawling novel covering 20 years. The large cast of characters. He said the different, and it's dual narrators, but they did different voices for each character. And he said that really made it distinct and it helped keep track of the cast easily. He was very impressed. So more of that's coming from them. And yeah, I couldn't be happier working with them. We're hopefully going to get really on track to do. My plan is to release an audiobook a month. I think that's doable because goodness knows there's a large backlist to get done. And that includes old and new books. Got
Absolutely.
Brian Young's to Without Question and Question Survival. I've got Michael Ciaravella's Damocles Sanction, of course. So those are on track there. But we're still working with Trent as well. We've got Trent on a big project we're hoping to announce pretty soon. I think he might have announced it. I'm having Trent do Mike's Warrior trilogy. And he's got to find a female narrator to tackle with him. So we've moved to male and female narration. I think a lot of fans really enjoy that. We enjoy it too. I think it's a more immersive experience.
Oh, absolutely.
Shadowrun Audio, we're still working on too as well. That's going a smidge slower for a variety of reasons, but we want to get that going too. I love Shadowrun. I think Shadowrun lends itself to the audio medium very well. So we want to get that back on track. Still, for those who don't know, the Secrets of Power trilogy is out there, along with a couple other standalones. The Jimmy Kincaid trilogy is also available in audio too. Rob James did a terrific job on that one too. So go out and find those, and then we're going to get more out as quickly as we can. So I just want to throw that out there.
No, absolutely. And I am hoping by the time this comes out as well, to all of our campaign backers out there, we are aiming on having your audiobooks that are in your awards on the Catalyst website that will only be available to you for free for now, and then afterwards be released en masse.
Yep. It's the part of the issue is they're huge files. They're
giant.
massive files. Audio takes up a lot of memory. That's
Yep.
So getting that in a way to be transferred easily that doesn't make backers jump through too many hoops has been challenging to say the least. So, but we are working on it because eventually I'd like to put our audio on for sale for our store as well.
No,
We'll
absolutely.
get it directly. Yeah.
And
A lot of people are not fond of certain monopoly-esque kind of markets that have sold up 80% of the audio market and want to go elsewhere.
Yeah,
we want to give them that option. So yeah.
But we're working towards that,
Yep.
and it'll be up. And hopefully we can get more than just that up there. Because then we can take it all back.
Right. well, I mean, whatever market you want to get it from, I'm happy to give it to you if we can do it in a way that's easy, relatively painless.
No,
you know,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, and plus, just not having to have all the middlemen, and
Right.
we don't need a fixer. Is what I'm trying to say.
Until we do. Well, if the Amazon's a fixer, I got another thing for you.
But all
They're
right.
more like Mr. Johnson, Market, Stuffer Shack. I don't know, something else.
I think there was a good little while where my Skype name was just because I got nicknamed Easy Johnson or something like that. I swapped my Skype name over to it, completely forgot. Ended up in a different meeting where my name was just Easy Johnson. I did not know how to handle that. I was like, hang on. No, this was like I tried to explain it, and I was like, how do I explain the fact that the guys over at Catalyst made a joke that I just overcommitted to, and then I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, I didn't want to be like, oh yeah, no, they came up with that. It just felt weird at the time.
No way, how could I possibly go wrong?
But okay, it was wonderful talking to you guys, and
Yeah, likewise.
I'm probably gonna go ahead and get started setting up for Randall here in about 10 minutes.
All right, Tyler, thank you very much for having us. This has been great. I
Yeah,
appreciate it.
wonderful. Yeah.
Of course.
All right.
Beautiful.